Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're looking at something pretty interesting that's been happening on the Bitcoin blockchain.
Oh, yeah. What's that?
A big jump, really, in the movement of coins that have just been sitting there dormant for a long time.
The sleepy Bitcoin's waking up, right?
Exactly. We've got some fresh on-chain analysis plus a report from Glassnode. So our mission today is, well, to try and figure out why this is happening and, what it might signal for you watching the market.
Right. It's definitely a noticeable surge.
Yeah.
When we talk about on-chain, we just mean the transactions recorded right there on the public ledger.
Mm-hmm.
And in Q1 2025, so the first 3 months, the movement of these really old coins, one's dormant for over 7 years.
7 years, wow.
Yeah, that movement jumped by, get this, 121% compared to Q1 last year.
121%, so more than double.
Way more than double the amount of these sort of vintage coins changing hands. It's significant.
Okay, well, let's put some hard numbers on that. So January 2025, we saw about 24,595 BTC move. February was around 21,820. March, a bit less, 16,456.
Right.
But add that all up, and you're looking at over 62,000 Bitcoin. Bitcoin that hadn't been touched for at least 7 years.
Just moving in that single quarter.
Yeah. It really makes you wonder what's pushing these long-term holders to finally, make a move.
Exactly. And that's how analysts are reading it. They see this as potentially a real shift in sentiment.
Sentiment among the long-term crowd.
Precisely. When you see wallets that have been dead quiet for that long suddenly become active like this, it strongly suggests they're changing their thinking or their strategy.
Okay, but let's add some context here, because early 2025 wasn't exactly smooth sailing, was it?
Not at all. Good point.
We had all that uncertainty floating around, geopolitical stuff, trade tensions heating up.
Yeah, general economic jitters.
It wasn't a calm market environment.
Definitely not. And Bitcoin itself, well, it went through its biggest price dip of this current cycle around.
Right, I remember that.
So that put immense pressure on investors. A lot of people were looking at, significant paper losses, unrealized losses, we call them.
So this movement, this awakening of dormant coins, it's happening right in the thick of some pretty serious market turbulence.
Correct. It's happening right then.
And it wasn't just Bitcoin feeling that pressure, was it? The whole crypto market kind of took a hit.
That's right. The correction was broader than just Bitcoin.
It seems like investors sort of across the board were feeling squeezed.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what's interesting is despite all that volatility back then, Bitcoin has shown some recovery lately.
Yeah, I saw it was up about, 8.9% over the last week?
Around that, yeah. Even with some daily dips. Trading, as we record this, around $92,164.
Okay.
So that rebound, it adds another wrinkle, doesn't it? Why move now? Are they seeing this little recovery as maybe their chance to get out, to sell?
Or something else entirely.
Or something else, yeah.
And you mentioned this might not be just a Bitcoin thing. We're seeing similar stirrings in other long-held assets. It seems so. There's data suggesting increased activity in other dormant assets too, like Ethereum, for example.
Okay.
So it could point to a wider trend, investors generally reevaluating things because of the whole economic picture.
Right, adjusting their strategies.
Exactly. And the fascinating part is digging into the why. Are these holders just locking in profits after, 7+ years? That's a long hold.
Definitely.
Are they maybe rotating into different assets? Or, and this is interesting too, could it be institutional forces? Maybe big players needing more Bitcoin liquidity for their own products or trades.
Lots of possibilities.
It really gets you thinking about what these sort of old hands, these experienced players, might be anticipating.
Okay, so let's try and wrap this up. The main takeaway seems to be a really significant chunk of long dormant Bitcoin started moving in Q1 this year.
Yeah, way more than we saw last year.
In this activity, which we can see thanks to on-chain data and analysis from places like Glassnode, it probably reflects these long-term holders reacting.
Reacting to a whole mix of things.
Right, like economic pressures, the market's ups and downs, and maybe, just maybe, a different view on what's coming next.
Which leads us to, I suppose, the final thought for you, the listener. What could this movement, this awakening of Bitcoin that hasn't budged in over 7 years, what could it really tell us? What might it imply about the long-term conviction of these holders? And maybe more pointedly, what could these very experienced market participants be seeing?
Seeing on the horizon.
Exactly. What might they be anticipating that perhaps the rest of the market is overlooking right now? Definitely something to chew on as you navigate the crypto space.